want to do today is to really expose you to what I've done in the last 30 years. 32 years ago, I was still a physicist, and I was bothered by the fact that the methods of the hard science are used only for the material world, atom, electrons, molecules, enzymes, and they are not used for the vast majority of our real world, which is human relationship, which is the social sciences. And the difference between the approach of the hard science and the approach of the social science is huge, unbelievably. And I was asking myself, what will happen if we take the standard ways, the standard beliefs, the standard procedures of the hard science, and will dare to use them for the social sciences? Of course, I've talked with my friends, physicists at that time, trying to convince them to go along with me. And what they told me is, Eli, forget it. People are not predictable. And I've said, what? Why do you say so? People are really not predictable? From my own experience, I know that I think that I can predict quite well what will happen to me if I'll tell my wife my true opinion about her new dress. You go down to the lobby of this hotel, choose arbitrarily a person, spit in his face, hit him on the cheek. You cannot predict his reaction. What are we talking about? Yes, you may run into Mother Teresa. Fine. So you cannot predict it 100%. But so is the case in the hard sciences. All of the science of the last 100 years is to realize to what extent our reality is not deterministic, to what extent it's totally governed by variability. This does not mean that cause and effect doesn't work. It means that there are situations where you need enormous accuracy of the starting point in order to predict accurately what will happen. Like, for example, we all know today that no matter how many sensors we'll put anywhere, no matter how much the power of the computers that we will use, we still cannot predict accurately the weather in Pittsburgh a week from now. This is called chaos theory. We are not living in a deterministic world. This does not mean that we cannot use cause and effect. Just to show you how different is the hard sciences approach from the social sciences, let me indicate one thing. My reading is that in the social sciences, we admire sophistication. The more sophisticated it is, the more respected it is. And if it's sophisticated to the extent that we don't understand anything, that's gorgeous. Are you aware that the opposite is correct in the hard science? That when you are using the hard science methods, which are nothing but what? You see an effect, your starting point is by asking why. And when you come with an answer, you didn't come with an answer, you came only with hypothesis. Hypothesis in regular language is meaning a guess. Now you have to prove it, you have to verify it. And the way to verify an hypothesis is by breaking your head and saying, based on the same logic that caused me to suggest the hypothesis, based on the same logics that led me to say that this is a cause for these effects that I'm seeing, based on that logic, what is another type of effect that must stem from the same hypothesis? Define it precisely, and now let's go and check whether or not the other effect exists. If it doesn't, it means your hypothesis is wrong. If it does, it starts to mean that maybe you are valid. The end result of it is that when you are using the scientific approach and you come to some conclusions, then when you show these conclusions to people who are familiar with the facts that you're talking about, the reaction is, it's so obvious. Why haven't we seen it before? Otherwise, it's baloney. Just to show you how entrenched it is, you probably all know that the wet dream of every physicist is called the Nobel Prize. As a matter of fact, physicists are divided into two groups. Those that still dream on the Nobel Prize and those that gave up. What you probably don't know is that the committee that selects the Nobel Prize winner has only one criteria, which is you have to publish something small, can be only 4 pages, but it has to be on the level that when any other physicist reads it, his reaction is, oh shit, that's a Nobel Prize. Are you with me? That's the hardest things to find. Something so simple and so obvious to anyone that is familiar with the facts that it's obvious that it's correct. The end result of using the pure logic that you all know is enormous simplicity, not sophistication. So why won't we try to do it in the social sciences? 78 I started. 79 I became so convinced that it does work that I've left physics and devoted myself to this field of management. In 83, the proven results were on such a stage that I decided it's about time to bring it out to the public domain, and I wrote the book called The Goal. This was written in 83. How many of you have read The Goal? Beautiful, but still not everybody. Which means my publisher still knows that there is still a market. That's good.